Alright guys, tonight, episode 51 of the DrewCast. If you're just joining me, I want to welcome you guys. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, because this is going to be a doozy, my friends. And with me tonight, as usual, my disembodied voice, J.O. And yeah, so before we start, if you guys do not like YouTube's starting to become kind of a shithole. So if you like the podcast in a different form, audio, obviously, we got Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So in the description of this video, I will leave the links. And before we do start, though, I want to give a shout out to one of my friends, Jesse. He wrote this he bought the rubber duck and wrote his name on it. So it's kind of, and I told him I'd put it in the podcast room. But bud, we're putting it in the video. So welcome to our other disembodied voice who probably won't talk this episode unless I make it quack. You know what I mean? Yeah, so tonight, let's get straight to it, guys. So, off camera, Justin, I told you we were going to talk about something called the Big Bounce Theory. And the other night when I was on TikTok, because, bro, by the way, before I continue, you guys follow me on TikTok because my followers are going up, my views are going up. TikTok is such a supportive platform for me. It really is, because I have no good luck on Facebook no more. It's a fucking ghost town on Facebook when it comes to my shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get there.
I noticed that with a lot of other people's stuff too, though. So,
really?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Maybe they changed what counts as a view.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if that's true, cool. But, like, I noticed that...
You're not the only one that went from, like, hundreds of views to, like...
To the shit views?
Like 40 or some shit.
Hey,
I have like a handful of people that used to post their stuff on there. They just...
It's the same way for them?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, Justin, but in the beginning stages of our podcast, even going into year 1, going into year 2, we were still pulling good views, and now it's fucking a ghost town. I almost don't like promoting on Facebook anymore, but I will for some episodes because that's where some people's reaches are, like, you know, James, last episode. Yeah, I started doing way more stuff on TikTok, guys, and Instagram Reels. And I did Instagram Reels because of Tessa, which, by the way, Tessa, thank you, because that saved me with a lot of stuff. But yeah, so on TikTok, I'm scrolling, and, like, I love TikTok, bro. It might be one of the best platforms I've ever been a part of or even been on. And I'm trying to get Justin to get it. You should get a TikTok, Justin. Just even if you're not posting, bro, like, TikTok is so good, bro. Like, I think you'd enjoy it. But the point of this next segment that I'm about to do, I see a theory called the Big Bounce Theory. It kind of reminded me of what I've told you guys in the past. I believe I've kind of let you guys in on a conversation me and my friend Cole had with Justin. We were talking about, like, theories of, like, life and what happens after death. And I called it the Cole theory, but basically I think this is what this is, but, like, a little bit deeper. So we're gonna go over it, and we're just gonna, me and us are gonna talk about it and see how we feel, and then we're gonna get on to a more heavier topic with Ghislaine Maxwell. I didn't want to just talk about Ghislaine the whole fucking episode, bro, because I didn't want to talk about, like, that kind of stuff, like, literally the whole episode. Like, that's hella, like, heavy. You know, like, when you guys come here, like, sometimes we make you laugh, but sometimes we talk about heavy stuff. Sometimes we talk about deep space stuff. And, like, I don't want to make the episode just all about sad subjects. So I'm trying to, like, lead us into that. So even though this has nothing to do with that, we're leading into that with this. So I'm going to play it. We'll watch it together, and we'll see how we feel about it after I play it. Okay, so before I play the video, it's on TikTok, but they took something from a post from Reddit and then put it on TikTok, which a lot of people on TikTok do that. So the source will be from a Reddit post, by the way. So I'm going to play it right now, actually.
What's the scariest theory known to mankind? Although not particularly scary, still pretty terrifying when you think about it. The Big Bounce Theory. What it states is that if the Big Bang occurred from nothing, then there will be no changing factor to make a difference in what is created when it happens. This means that when our universe ends and another is created, it will be created in the exact same way, with the exact same galaxies, planets, species, and so on. If this is true, our entire universe is in an endless cycle of creating and destroying itself, and you will be born into every universe endlessly. Reddit.
So imagine, okay, I'm like super zooted off like the weed pen, and then you come across that TikTok. So I'm obviously just you're kind of good. You're getting where I'm going with this. Don't know about you. You can chime in when you want, but that was kind of comforting. That was kind of low key comforting, and I don't know if you agree with me, but that kind of reminds me of what Cole told us. How you just loop the same life over and over again. I don't know if you
I don't think you're
gathered that from the Big Bounce.
You're like the king of misinterpretation. I feel like I don't think he was saying that. I mean, he was saying that, but he's not saying loop isn't like you literally live the exact same life over and over again.
I thought he said that, bro.
It's like you're.
That sounds like you're the king of being a bitch. Nah, fine. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I myself don't even know what he was talking about word for word, but.
Okay.
I don't think you're going through this same exact situation or the same exact life, like choice for choice. I think that maybe you're just born again and you have
the same
choices to make
the same Justin, but you can make different choices this time?
Yeah. I don't think he's talking about like you're born in the same city, you go to the same schools, you know, such and such. That's what I think, at least.
What comforts you more, the fact that you'd be born again and you can make different choices, or you'd be born again and you're literally making the same choices over and over again?
Yeah, no, that would be ass.
So the second one wouldn't be your cup of tea.
No,
then?
I feel like that'd be shit, dude.
The crazy.
Then what's there's no point. Because what if you just got dealt like a shit hand,
and like your whole life is
you're
looping?
Just gonna have to relive the shit life over and over again.
Yeah, you're right. That would they be good for that? This theory would be good for like celebrities and rich people. I get to be Elon Musk every day, you know what I mean? Like every life, like like the sucky part is that if let's say this theory is true, like when you're reborn, that would suck. Like what if you're trying to remember, like, okay, so you get reborn, right? You're Justin again. You get reborn. And you remember your past life as like an infant, but you're so small and you can't talk and you can't retain memories that by the time you're like 5 or 6, when you gain somewhat of a consciousness, you forget about all that. So let's say you're an infant, okay? The Big Bounce theory. You're an infant, and as you're in the infant stages, you're like, oh, this is what I'm going to do different. This is what I'm going to change. I got to do this to get this. And like you're hella excited, but you can't retain none of that memory. And you can't talk or you can't like speak, so then you ended up forgetting once you become like a toddler who gains consciousness. That would fucking suck, dude. You know, you're so excited, like, oh, I'm gonna do this different, and I'm gonna try to do this, and then like nothing ends up. You're right. That would suck if you keep looping. If you kept looping. What would be cool, in my opinion, when it comes to the Big Bounce theory, is if you got to be in a different timeline. Let's say you're Justin, but we're in like feudal Japan, or we're in the medieval times, or we're in the neo future, like cyberpunk.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
You're still Justin. You still have like Andrew, your brothers, and all that, but like Kylie and the kids. But like so that would be cool to me, because it's like it kind of reminds me of like somebody playing The Sims. Like whatever life is just so bored. It created this as a way to entertain itself. Because like that would suck. Thinking about it, like you're such a powerful, creative being. I always mess that up, by the way. I don't know if it's being or being. The G silent, right?
What?
Like when you're saying like a human being.
It's being.
Like yeah.
A human being.
Sorry, that sounded so fucking stupid,
No,
bro.
we
Like
both might be wrong. Fuck it.
But you're like a powerful entity or whatever, and like you just probably create this stuff because you're bored, bro. Like that just don't, you know. Because, you know, last couple episodes, we've been kind of making fun of you about, like, your consciousness. You know, like, I'll make fun of you, like, oh, Justin didn't get consciousness till 6th grade, and Justin doesn't remember anything, and, you know, because we've been kind of, like, clowning on you the last couple of episodes for that. What, do you ever, like, when you're by yourself, do you ever think about this kind of stuff, and, like, does it kind of scare you? I never asked you that. Like, I mean, I probably have, obviously, but, like, I want you to take me through like this type of stuff with you in your head. Like, does this type of stuff scare you, or like do you just try to avoid that type of?
Yeah, I'm sure it scares everyone. You don't just think like, oh, I'm gonna die, and you're like, okay, like you're happy about it. I mean, maybe some people are, but
Do you think this with this theory, the big bounce theory, is where deja vu comes into play? Like when you get deja vu, you're like, oh, I feel like I've done this before. It's because you probably have.
that's possible as well. Yeah.
That'd be cool if we became rich off this podcast and stuff, and like gained like a nice little net worth from it, and like able to like hand our kids off like with some good money and stuff, and we just kept reliving that. Hey, I'm down. I'm down, dude. I'm cool with that. But you're right. What I'm not cool with is if we're gonna keep looping as bums. Like if I was a homeless person or I was somebody like who was like mom, I would not want to be looping as mom. Sorry. How many centuries can we go with pill problems or something? You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to like for eternity. Now I'm an alcoholic for eternity. Like that would fucking suck, bro.
What kind of doesn't make sense about that is like, what if you die as like a baby, or like a little ass kid? Like you just loop for like not on topic, but like related because it's like fresh news, I guess. But like how Nick Cannon's son just died and he was 5 months old.
Which, by the way, that was super sad to read. But yeah, go ahead.
So you're just gonna relive those 5 months just over and over and over again? That would suck fucking ass.
What could explain it is you do get to do a different every life. You get to choose something different. But what if like in your past life you ended up murdering somebody, you did a lot of wrong, so in your next reincarnation as yourself you kind of get punished for it? Not to say that's what happened with Nick Cannon's kid, obviously. I'm just throwing that idea out there that hey, what if in your past life you kind of were like a bad person, so like you're in your next reincarnation, a lot of bad stuff happens to you. Like you have to live a life where a lot of bad stuff happens to you because in your past life you were like super bad. That makes sense, right? Does it not? Like that.
I mean,
that
I mean it would, but then that defeats your theory because you're not looping. That's just reincarnation.
Well, I don't want the loop to be just the same thing for eternity, right? Like I want there to be the next time I'm Andrew, I get to kind of do different things. Hey, let's start our music sooner in life. Hey, let's put a lot of effort. Like, let's go get Bitcoin. Remember when Dooney was like super big on Bitcoin back when we were like younger? Let's go back in time and start investing in Bitcoin, dude. I would have literally gave every check to Bitcoin, dude. That's what I would have done. I would have not even hesitated to give my whole check to Bitcoin. So yeah, that's the big bounce theory, guys. If you are interested in that, comment below. Tell us what you think of it. Do you think we loop literally the same life for eternity, or do we get to live the same life but you get to do different choices, maybe different timelines? Maybe in your next life you get to experience being a shark, or you get to experience being like a rock, which that would suck if you're a rock. Let's just not like... Before we get off this subject, what would be the suckiest thing that you can think of to be? Like, I think a rock might take it, bro.
I don't think rocks have
you
life.
ever felt the urge to just throw a rock? Like, it's almost calling to you to throw it. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, imagine how fucking great, Justin, it is, right? Imagine how great it is to be a rock and someone picks you up after like thousands of years of not being touched and they're gonna throw you. I bet as a rock that feels so good, bro. I mean, I'm not a rock, so I don't know, but I can only imagine, bro, that like if you're a rock and you sat there for like billions of years or thousands of years and someone finally picks you up to skip you in the water, that's your 15 minutes of fame. That's your fucking moment, dude. And as you're skipping on the water, going out into like the middle of whatever water park we're at, you're just like hella happy. And then there you go. You go to the bottom of the... I don't know. That'd be cool. I know that we kind of drifted off there, but... So yeah, we're going to get into something very heavy. So I want to give a little warning out there because a couple weeks ago, I did kind of briefly mention the Maxwell case that's happening right now. A lot of people, I posted it on Instagram Reels. A lot of people liked it. I ended up getting like 6 or 7 followers based on it. A lot of people told me to cover it. And it's not... So there's a couple things that I want to talk about before we get into this because there's a lot of misconception going on with this trial. And, people are like, hey, why did they spend so much time on Kyle Rittenhouse and it was covered with cameras, and why isn't this being covered with the cameras? And so I guess in federal court, there's no cameras allowed. So that's one explanation as to why you're not seeing it like you saw Kyle Rittenhouse. And to be honest and to be fair, because I don't want to be someone who's like pushing misinformation like that. I don't want to be known for that. News sites are covering it because they are allowing like the public and the press to be in that courtroom. So they are covering it, but like let's just say what it is, bro. Like it kind of feels like no one gives a shit. I don't know if you get that feeling from this, Justin, but it kind of feels like no one cares. And when it comes to stuff like this, like, oh, I don't even know if we should say the word. The P word, like I'm just gonna say it, like pedophile stuff. When it comes to that type of like topic, ever since I've been alive, it seems like everybody just skips over it. It doesn't matter the color of the person. Doesn't matter the gender of the person. It just, that topic always just seems to get fucking glazed right over. Like no one cares, bro. We've seen it with families. Personally. Like we've seen people like in families. Well, that's happened to people in their family and they just lie about it and they just cover up for the person and they just don't care. So then now you're seeing it in like the mainstream public with Hollywood and like famous people and rich politicians, and you're seeing it because it starts at the very core. I don't know if you consider that the core, Justin, but like the core is like, when like you grow up in your household, the first initial people you meet, you love, the first initial people you are around is your family. So when you grow up with like your family and your friends and all these people like gaslighting you and making you think that this isn't a problem, and because you've heard me bring up before, like it kind of sucks how like there's like a huge like stereotype on uncles. Remember, and I said, oh, that kind of sucks because I pride myself on being like a really good uncle, and it sucks as there's like that stereotype where like uncles are like a certain type of way. So I mean, people could say, hey, why isn't this being covered as much? Well, bro, like a lot of it starts at home. I mean, look at the history of this topic and just look how victims have been completely gaslit. Victims have been told that it's not that serious, that, oh, he didn't mean to or she didn't mean to. So that topic isn't something that is really easy to talk about. So going into this case, I believe, so the trial did start on November 29th. It's suspected to be a 6-week trial. I think at the moment we're at right now, the accusers, they call them the accusers, but I believe them. There's 4 of them. They're actually the ones being like cross-examined and stuff right now. So I think Ghislaine will take the stand later on in the trial. Right now they're just focusing on the accusers, as they call them. And so a little bit about, they're saying it's supposed to go into January, and they're expecting it to end sooner, which I don't know. There's just a lot of like weird stuff going on to where like you don't know if like, I don't want to say it's like a movie where like, oh, the trial already happened and you're just watching like a fake trial happen on the side. But yeah. So her defense, her lawyers are trying to say, which this part made me so mad. So her lawyers are trying to say that she was just one of Epstein's employees at the house and wasn't aware of Epstein's bad acts. So take that for what you want, right? But so that made me hella mad because you probably haven't watched the documentary, Dustin, but I watched it. And when they did interviews with victims and you kind of like research on this case and you research what they've been accused of and like what's kind of going into this, I don't know how any lawyer can like I know it's for money and there's, she's paying people to defend her, and like I believe people should have a right to be defended even if you are a piece of shit. Like that's how our justice system is. But it just feels really wicked, to say something like that. Like there's literal proof that this guy. You're not just one of his employees. You're more than that. Almost every single victim knows you're more than that. They've named you as someone that's either like groomed them, recruited them, been a part of the act. But then I don't know. It doesn't that feel slimy to you, bro? Like when like I know that's lawyers' jobs, but I don't know if I could do that, man. Like I get it, like they're getting paid, but like there's just something in me that's like when it comes to like rape and pedophilia and stuff, like I just don't think that should be. You shouldn't be able to defend that. Like I don't know. Like I just don't feel like you should be able to.
It's gonna happen regardless. It's part of the Miranda rights, right? Is you're gonna get a lawyer whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I mean.
So I mean, you're gonna get appointed somebody who's gonna be forced to defend you. Might as well get paid for it.
It just bothers me, man. I was reading one of the articles where it said early on prosecutors were showing jurors about 20 photos of Maxwell and Epstein together over the years, which those years ranged from 1994 to like 2008-ish. Including one of the pictures was she was massaging his feet on an airplane. Other pictures of them embracing. So they're basically trying to show like, hey, you guys were closer than what you're saying. You weren't just like a regular employee, as like her lawyers are trying to say. And I've stated this before. Like, have you ever heard of a story called Lolita, Dustin? Now I'm not fully up to like I don't want to say up to date or I guess the better word is educated about this book, but it's a book basically. Emily has told me about it before. I don't know how to like describe this book because it's like, how do you like? Would you read a book, Dustin, if it was about like the point of view of someone like Epstein, like someone who's like the P word? Like if the book was about his point of view, would you like? So
is that what the book's about?
Yeah, so that's why the book's called Lolita. It's like he has a relationship with like a underage girl. You know, he ends up killing her mom and he ends up kidnapping her and like they end up having like a. So in the book, Emily was telling me that it writes it from his point of view where it makes it seem like she wanted to do stuff and
yeah,
it was like so. First of all, like the author who wrote that, like I get it, I don't, but it's like.
What was he trying to defend that?
I'm that part I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna, point fingers or anything, but yeah. So Epstein ended up getting a plane or like a private plane or a private jet, naming it the Lolita Express. Why did you name it the? You know what I mean? Listen, that's super just right on the head. That's just super like, and I've mentioned that in like previous episodes. The Lolita Express, come on, dude. I don't know, like that's just super like, oh, I wonder what you like to do in your free time, and then you just go name your private jet that. Like, I believe there are only 4 victims or 4 accusers, as they're calling them, that are actually a part of this trial. I know one of them, her name is Carolyn. And another person, his name is Jane. From what I was researching, a lot of them were just going by their first names. Like they weren't being their full name. And I heard of this girl on the Netflix documentary. One of the most high profile accusers. Her name was Virginia. I guess she's not expected to take the stand. But she basically said when she was 17, Epstein and Maxwell started flying her around the world for sex politicians, royals, billionaires. And in May 2016 deposition, she said that Maxwell ordered her to have sex with Prince Andrew and former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, among others. Andrew has publicly denied the accusations, and a spokesperson for Richardson told the NPR that the charges are completely false. Now, of course, they're going to say that. That's so... You've heard
that... Can you imagine? It's like, yeah, I fucked her. They're not going to say that.
Yeah, they're not going to say that. They have to say it's completely... it's
unequivocally false. Yeah.
You've heard of the Prince Andrew accusations, right?
No, I don't even know who Prince Andrew is. Is it the redhead dude that married the...
No. I'll show you a picture afterwards.
Yeah, I have no clue who that is.
So the story got big because I watched the Netflix documentary and her part of it, it was super jaw-dropping in a way where it's like, whoa, that was happening to you? Like, basically, Epstein was, like, using her, like basically prostituting her, bro. I don't know if that's the right word, but, like, he was having her do stuff with, like, all these, like, high-profile people. Like, clients or whatever they call it. One of them was Prince Andrew, and when she first came forward with that, there's a picture of her and him. And guess who's in the background of that picture? You want to take a guess who's in the
The
background?
mayor, dude? The
No,
mayor guy?
we got one more chance before I name the person. Who's in the background of that picture? Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh.
She's in the background of that picture while Prince Andrew and her are in that picture. She talks about the night of that picture and what happened and all that stuff. He's a part of the royal family. I'll have you, if you want, you can look it up why I finished this, but that type of stuff is just so, like, there's evil, and then there's this type of evil. And this type of evil is just something you can't really wrap your head around. There's certain evils that I'm like, I don't understand why this even exists.
Oh, yeah, I see the picture now.
You see the picture of those two?
Yeah.
And you see Maxwell in the background?
I don't know who. It says the dude is Prince Andrew, but I don't recognize him.
Send it to me real quick. If you send it to me, I'll be able to tell you if it's them or if it's
No,
him.
I'm sure this is exactly what you're talking about,
Oh.
but like I'm saying, I don't know who this is. Like
Well-
if you were to show me this picture and be like, "Hey man, is this Prince Andrew?" I would be like, "Yeah, I have no clue."
Oh yeah, that's the picture right there. Yeah, that's the picture. No, so I didn't know who he was before this either, right? But like that right there is like, okay, look at the way he's holding her waist, right? Like if you don't, like, you know how they're saying this, like, I don't know you, I'm just an employee, I never met her. Like, look at, like, when you see that, right? He's not like, would you do that to a person in a picture? What do you think of pictures if you saw this picture and you didn't know the background? The way he's holding her waist, would you think like, why is he holding her waist like that? I don't know. There's just certain key, like, maybe I'm
It's
reading.
also weird, like that all this stuff was going on, and like it's just like documented. There's pictures, and they just basically just snitched on themselves. Like, hey, yeah, we're gonna fuck a bunch of underage girls, and make sure you get this photo of us in the living room.
Yeah, it's like, hey, take a picture, bro. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, what? That's so cringy. Well, when you read up on it and you watch, I don't want to keep plugging the documentary in here, but it's like, it's pretty jaw dropping to watch. A lot of the documentary it was like a pyramid scheme of like, he would have an underage girl go to his mansion, do the whole massage and rub and tuck thing. He would touch them, then he would pay them, and then he would tell them, if you have friends that want to do it, let me know. And so those underage girls would go out, tell their underage friends to do it, then they would go, and it was just like a pyramid scheme of like, I don't know if that's the right word to call it, but it was like just a basic, like, you could see how fast that would grow, right? You could see where that's going. And there's some of it's like, so right here in one of the parts that when I was researching this today, so it says more corroboration of accuser testimony came from a former boyfriend of alleged victim Carolyn. The boyfriend said he waited outside Epstein's Palm Beach mansion many times for Carolyn, who would go inside for about an hour, then return with several $100s. Remember, I was telling you they would come back with money, obviously. He also testified a woman with an accent called him several times looking for Carolyn. Maxwell speaks in a British accent. That doesn't mean it's her, but come on.
Yeah.
Oh, but we're not fucking dumb here, dude. We're not dumb. So, I don't know if you've been reading into this or when it comes across your news feed, but on Wednesday, one of the former pilots of Epstein actually corroborated that one of the victims early testimony. His name is David Rogers. He basically testified that both Epstein and Maxwell in August of 1994 flew back from Michigan, where the first accuser, Jane, testified last week. She met the pair at a summer camp. There, she was 14, and she said that she went on to be sexually abused by Epstein for years. Rogers testified that he remembered Jane flying on Epstein's plane 4 times, his logbook showing Maxwell was on each of those flights. So there's logbooks, there's testimony, but you're just one of his employees. I don't really know him.
Yeah.
But I'm rubbing this guy's feet, and I'm also being like a massive groomer. And if you guys don't know who Ghislaine Maxwell is and you're just wondering, like, hey, who is she? What is some background information from her? Well, right now, she's 59 years old. She was French born. They said she's a British socialite. I don't know what that is. She's a businesswoman, apparently. One of the things that I kept reading on was, I guess, her father, his name's Robert Maxwell, had like kind of like a shady life, and his death was kind of like always like kind of like one of those deaths that's like, oh, you know, like when someone dies of like a weird like Princess Diana, like everybody said, like, you know, people said like, oh no, definitely she was murdered, but like they didn't say she was murdered. It was kind of like one of those deaths. One of the girls who testified, her name's Carolyn. I've been bringing her name up. She testified that she was asked by both Epstein and Maxwell if she would fly with them to Epstein's private island, but says she told them there was no way her mother would allow it because she was only 15. That's not the only. Like, again, I said, watch the documentary. That's not the only girl that they've done that to, right? They flew. There's been people on, like, that worked on the private island, that, like, they would, like, be doing their job. Oh, there's Bill Clinton. There's Jeffrey Epstein with, like, some girl who looks super young. Now, before I go, I want to hit a few points. One, we're going to talk about if Epstein really killed himself, because no, he fucking didn't kill himself. I know that's kind of like an old topic to bring up. I don't think he killed himself. In fact, I don't think he's dead. Yeah, I don't know if someone's came out and said that yet, but like and that might sound like a off-the-wall theory, and I'm not trying to make it sound like an off-the-wall theory, but someone like him, I think he's not dead. Someone with that type of money and power, I don't think Epstein's dead, bro. I don't think he's dead, but that's just me.
You don't think so?
No, I got.
You don't think that like maybe he did get arrested?
Here's
somebody caught wind and maybe he was just gonna fucking squeal on him, and they're just like, "Hey, this guy knows too much. Just kill him."
Well, one thing made me think. I was like, okay, why haven't they killed Ghislaine yet? She probably knows just as much, if not the same amount that he knows. And then I thought to myself, okay, so they didn't kill her yet. She's not dead. And I'm like, Then I thought, okay, yes, I believe that he did get arrested. He did end up in a jail somewhere. But the events leading to him killing himself and like the cameras that watch his cell are suddenly off. The guards that watch his thing suddenly don't go check on him. Like everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And then I thought to myself, oh, there's pictures of like where it shows them them pulling the body away from the building, and like people would point out like the ears aren't the same or the face doesn't look the same. That part can probably be disputed and probably proven wrong on my end. So that's why I'm pointing out that, hey, that's take it with a grain of salt. But I don't know, man. Someone like him, I just don't think he's dead, bro. Like if you're a billionaire and he probably said like, hey, if you guys don't want me to snitch, get me out of here. I don't know. I'm not saying it's true, but like I always get this feeling that he didn't really kill himself, bro. For sure he didn't kill himself, but if he's not, but I'm taking it further and saying he's not really dead. He got whacked. Think about what's at stake here. Think about all the people that they probably know that's involved with this. If you wanna know why the media isn't talking about it, which they are, but they're not. If you want to know why your social media friends and what you see on social media, if you want to know why they're not talking about it, and why it's coming down to small YouTubers like me and small TikTok creators like other people, they're the ones talking about it. You want to know why? Because these people, they're being protected. It's just straight up, it is what it is. You guys, you may not like Alex Jones, you may not like what he talks about, but when he exposed the Bohemian Grove, there is a group of elite people who do weird ass shit. It's documented. And think about it. He even said that what they used to do to blackmail you. Oh, we're going to tell everybody you're gay. We're going to tell people you perform oral sex on men. Right? That was what they used to blackmail you with back in the day, he said.
Which is funny because I don't think that shit would fly nowadays.
No, because no one cares anymore.
Yeah,
if you want to suck a dick, suck it.
Fucking gay.
Yeah,
and then you're like, okay.
Who cares? Go suck a dick if you want. What's the next thing when it comes to blackmail that you can never make okay. You can never make this okay no matter what you do. There's people who are trying right now to say like, I'm a virtuous pedophile. And we don't actually know. There's nothing you can say that makes that okay. But people are trying. They're even trying to like, the LGBTQ group isn't doing this. They're not doing this. But there's people, there's like subgroups who are trying to attach themselves to that group. We're born this way. So is my gun. So is a bullet, but bro. So those people, there's no, think about it, right? So what's the next form of blackmail you can do? The next form of blackmail is getting these people to do stuff with, bro, you can't, that's probably the biggest evil, I'm assuming. You want to know why these big news outlets are talking about it? Because they're probably protecting their rich ass bosses. That's why they're not talking about it. That's why it's coming down to small YouTubers like me who are probably taking a hit in the algorithm just by talking about this. Just me and Justin talking about this puts a target on our back. It does. You think they're gonna say, let's make those guys big. No, so we are somewhat damaging what we're trying to do here by even talking about this, but point being, that's probably why you're not noticing a lot of people talking about it. They're protecting their bosses, man. You got Bill Clinton was on that private island. He wasn't there to talk about presidency.
Wasn't Bill Gates there as well? Or not there, but like
he was tied to Jeffrey Epstein until all of a sudden when the whole, stuff got exposed. So here's the problem with that too. Jeffrey Epstein initially got in trouble for this kind of stuff in 2008. Like in the early 2000s. So after that, till his suicide, people still fucked with him. So if Bill Gates is like, oh, I didn't know. You knew of his reputation. You knew what he was being accused of prior. So it's all a game to these people. It's like literally all a game to these people. Obviously the list is so big, so like you don't want to go pointing fingers and accusing people of this type of stuff, but hey, these people have the money to shut us up. There's probably a lot of people who don't want this Ghislaine Maxwell trial being talked about. And I had another theory too that like, think about it, when he, the whole around the time he killed himself, Justin, and all this stuff was being exposed, what happened? COVID happened. Not saying it's because of like they did it, but come on, what are the coincidences now in the midst of all this stuff being exposed about like rich elite P words? UFOs are real. We found off-world craft. It just like everything you guys gotta, like I know it sounds really conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat type shit, but you gotta start piecing the puzzles together here. They're gonna say, oh, but hey, I'm just saying, what made people shut up real quick about Epstein, bro? I mean, you're gonna put two and two together here. I want to keep covering the case because the trial's not over. So a lot of the stuff I talked about today, they're just in the beginning stage, not the beginning stages. They're kind of in the middle of the trial, I would say. They have the accusers taking the stand. They're like letting the victims talk. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Do you think she's going to serve any time? Do you think she's going to get off? Or do you think they're going to magically find her dead in her cell?
I feel like that would be too suspicious and too obvious.
Yeah.
They just both die in jail. Maybe.
She deserves to rot, man. Like, little kid stuff is not cool. It's never going to be cool no matter what the fuck any group tries to say. I don't care if you were born that way. I literally do not care. This type of stuff is just, it's kind of a dark topic, man. And it kind of weighed on my mind researching this today in like the last couple weeks. It really does hurt your soul, bro. A part of your soul does get taken when you research stuff like this. Like, you really see this stuff right here that I'm looking at it right now and I'm like, bro, people do this? it's mind-boggling that people have enough money to like make people disappear, to me, nothing justifies this. So I hope she gets the full sentence, but who knows, man? I wouldn't be surprised. Is anybody going to be surprised if she gets off? If she gets no jail time or time served? I don't know. Like, I just wouldn't be surprised, man. So yeah, that was tonight's episode, guys. If you want me to keep covering the trial, please let me know, like you guys did last time, and I'll start dedicating more time to covering it. This type of stuff just weighs on your soul, man, like I said, and it's not something easy to talk about or hear about. Because I know people personally affected by this type of shit, and it's not, yeah. But like I said in the beginning, if you guys are into audio format podcast, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and those numbers are doing great. If you guys like what we do on YouTube, obviously, please share with your friends, because the more you guys share, the more eyes I see that get to see this. And I feel like the more shares have been helping the views in that process. So until next time, guys, peace.